So here's a little tutorial about the melodic minor modes and how to voice chords from them and how to improvise on them. I'm going to just use this E drone to show you how all 7 modes of the melodic minor scale can be represented with just this one shape and this one concept, which you can explode and expand up and down your fretboard, but the concept will not change. So starting with the E melodic minor, the first mode. This is a nice voicing. I figured out at one point that the major triad is the center of the action when you're playing on this chord. So instead of worrying about your scales and all that kind of thing, we're just going to think in terms of the triad, and you'll come up with more sort of composerly ideas. So I have I use this little lick actually to have a lick that helps me determine what the triadic center of the chord is. So even though it's an E minor chord, I'm thinking of a B major triad. So this is the lick. It's like I'm playing a B major scale. Then it ends like a minor scale. First 5 notes of the major scale and last 4 of the minor scale. We'll do a couple more voicings for it. So this is a real common one. I got this from jazz piano. Very common voicing. And what else is there? But for now, we'll stick to this one. So if you were to play an E7 altered chord now, what you'd end up with is really an F melodic minor scale over E. So this chord that everybody knows, like the Jimi Hendrix chord, when it's used in a jazz context, it's used to get, to resolve to, let's say, an A minor chord. Expand it a little bit more. So now we have the same thing that we were just doing, except up a fret. So that's how I think of an altered chord. If it's E altered, for example, I think of the C triad. I think of this lick. Not because it's a lick that I'm going to use, but because it just gives me all the important information for the scale that I need. So now when you're playing over an E7 chord, you don't have to sit there frozen, not knowing what to play, because you know that you can play outline this C chord, C shape. I'm playing kind of fast, but you can hear, hopefully, that there is this key center happening. You can just hear this triad. So moving along now, if the chord was E half diminished, you could play it like this, using the same shape again. Now where it's off of D. The next one would be, this mode isn't used very often, if at all, but it's still one of the melodic minor modes. So Mixolydian flat 6 is what it's called. In fact, that's what it is. It's a Mixolydian scale with a flat 6. But again, I'm not thinking really of any scales at all. I'm just thinking of the triad and its diatonic upper nebras. Now the next one is a very common jazz chord. This would be a voicing for E7 sharp 11. So you're going to think of no scales, no arpeggios, no licks, just an F sharp triad. And next one would be another very common jazz chord is this would be E major 7 sharp 5. So this time I'm relying on a G sharp triad. You can see it right there. And then D sus flat 9, not a very common chord. I'm sorry, E sus flat 9, not a very common chord, but a very cool chord nonetheless. It's used a lot in music of like Wayne Shorter, Herbie Hancock. All these chords are very mysterious, interesting sounding, and they're very common. Their jazz tunes are full of these chords. And that brings us full circle, because the next one would be the one that we started with, E minor major 7. And so like one song that uses 3 melodic minor modes in a row is Wayne Shorter's Iris, and there's a part, so it goes like 3, 2, 3, and then this part right here, B flat altered, D7 sharp 11, and then G sharp major 7 sharp 5. So this concept makes it really easy to navigate through this type of progression, because B flat altered is the F sharp triad. For an altered chord, you just go down a major 3rd and use the triad. Nothing easier than the triad, right? And then for D flat 7 sharp 11, that's in E flat major triad. And then for G sharp major 7 sharp 5, that's really just a C chord over G flat. So you're going to use the same exact concept, but now it's a C triad. You know, extended with the flat 6 and flat 7. Very kind of dramatic sounding scale. So the whole progression. So it's very simple. Not only is it the simplest way to think of these kind of how to play on these changes, but it allows you to get right to the center of them and play really strong notes over them and to play recognizable melodies, because they're going to be based off of the major triad and the major scale, no matter how dark and exotic the chord might sound. You can hear the major scale in it.